Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Friday night, got 3 FBS games on. Had Army tonight. Wow, a little bit of a role reversal in that one. An Army ECU game, and Army is the less disciplined team. Dropping passes, fumbling the ball, mental mistakes. Army, the less disciplined team. Normally, that's why you bet Army, is because they're the more disciplined team. But yeah, ECU got off to a hot start, 21-0, and then Army kind of settled in after that on the defensive side. But yeah, not even close. We got 3 games on Friday night. Actually, I think all 3 are interesting. Let's talk about them. I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. All right, Florida State, Virginia. This one was at 7. It moved up to 7.5 for a second, but it didn't last long. Virginia plus 7.5 got bought up pretty quick. It's been sitting at 7. We're now up to 20K limits, and we're still at Virginia plus 7. So let's talk about this game. Castellanos, I think he's going to play. They're being really weird about the injury. He left the Kent State game injured, didn't return, but that was kind of a unique game. There was a weather delay. Also, did he not return because they were beating them so handedly? They're saying lower body injury, lower leg injury. I'm not getting any details on it. He was limping a little bit, but then he did jog on the sideline. They're being very sketchy about answering questions about it. He is listed as probable, but he is on the injury report. So Castellanos on the injury report, that certainly needs to be mentioned. His numbers look solid on the season. Obviously, the last 2 games, who cares? They played Kent State and Texas A&M, or East Texas A&M or whatever. The game against Alabama, he didn't do a ton through the air. He only dropped back to pass 14 times. He made some plays with his legs. I think the story of that Florida State-Alabama game was more Malzahn, the play calling, Castellanos using his legs, the Florida State defense. It wasn't that Castellanos was just piecing Alabama up through the air. That's not how that game went at all. The truth is, when it comes to this Florida State team, we just really don't know much. They played a great game against Alabama in the opener. It was Ty Simpson's first career start on the road in Doak Campbell. Just a crazy data point. Since then, they've played 2 absolutely terrible football teams. So, look, maybe Castellanos is 100% and there's no factor at all. But if he's limited or hobbled, remember, he's dealt with injuries before. If he's limited or hobbled at all, limited mobility, and Florida State's forced to be more reliant on the run, could favor Virginia. But even if he's 100%, I think this Virginia defense is undervalued right now. People remember that NC State game, and yeah, I mean, the defense looked bad in that NC State game. They lost 35-31. I mean, NC State, 7.5 yards per play. It was not a good defensive game for Virginia. They played great defense in their other 3 games, but the most important thing to point out about that NC State game, they played that game without Cam Robinson, their linebacker and best defensive player. He missed the first 3 games of the year. He's now back. And safety Antonio Clary, he just came back. Last week against Stanford was his first week back. So they played that game without 2 of the most important pieces on their defense. Well, Cam Robinson's the best player on their defense. Antonio Clary's a starting safety. He's like a 3-year starter. So they played that game missing 2 key pieces on the defense who are now back and healthy. Now, to be fair, we do need to mention that Florida State might be getting Squirrel White, their wide receiver, back. So Florida State might be getting a piece back from injury as well. But this Virginia defense, it's kind of being perceived as a bad defense. I disagree. I think this is a pretty strong defense, and I think they're good enough to give Florida State's offense some problems. Now, on the other side, though, this is where this should be some tough sledding for the Virginia offense. They've looked great. 27th in success rate, 14th in PPA. They're running the ball. They're throwing the ball. Chandler Morris looks excellent. Virginia's offense truly looks great. This is by far their toughest test, and it looks like they're going to be playing this game without their center. Brady Wilson, he left the Stanford game injured. He's listed as questionable, but it looks like they're going to slide a guard over. So, yeah, I don't think their center is going to play in this game. So they're missing a piece on the offensive line. And kind of like what I was saying about Florida State's last 2 games, in terms of the defenses that Virginia's seen, not the toughest competition. I mean, who's the toughest defense that Virginia has seen so far this year? I mean, a road game against NC State, I guess, but this is definitely a down year for NC State defensively. We're seeing that defense struggle all over the place, so they haven't really seen many tough defenses. Stanford, I guess, is okay. Florida State's defense is strong. They were strong last year. It's just they were so unbelievably bad on the offensive side of the ball that it made their defense look worse at times. So this is definitely a huge test for the Virginia offense. I will say this Florida State's defense is pretty untested as well, though. Remember, the only valuable data point, they played great, was Ty Simpson's first career start. Like, it was a very favorable spot for the Florida State defense. If there was ever a time to play Alabama this year, a home game in Ty Simpson's career start was the time. I mean, I would imagine, based on what we've seen from Ty Simpson the last couple of games, if they played that game again, Ty Simpson wouldn't look like that. I would imagine we'd see Alabama's offense look a lot better. Obviously, that's speculation. This is a serious test for Florida State's defense. They're going on the road in a short week to play a Virginia offense that looks really explosive. Chandler Morris, remember, this is a multi-year starter. This is not a freshman. This guy, multi-years, has started in the FBS, has played in Power 4 games before. He looks comfortable. Virginia's running the ball. It's a serious test for Florida State's defense. And the last time they came to this building, they took an L, 31-24. Virginia got them. I'm on Virginia here. It's not that I don't think Florida State is strong. It's just I think Virginia is strong also. And 7.5 on the road, Florida State's going to have to prove it to me. So, yeah, I'm on Virginia plus 7.5. I would still play it at the 7. TCU on the road at Arizona State. This is at 2.5. Then it was up to 3. Then TCU got hit at 3. Came down to 2. They raised the limits to $20K. And then it looks like Arizona took some serious money. We're now up to 3, and they've raised the limit. So it looks like we're pretty much sitting at 3 across the board. So, all right, what do we think of this game? Huge win for Arizona State last week. They go on the road to Baylor, 27-24. Wasn't a fluke either. I know some people are saying Baylor shot themselves in the foot. They kind of self-sabotaged a little bit. And yes, that did happen. But I truly think Arizona was the better team. Arizona State was the better team in that game. I thought Arizona's defense made a couple key stops. And I know if you watch that game, you're probably thinking, well, no, Kyle, Baylor just kept shooting themselves in the foot. And I get it, the timely penalties and the turnovers. That kind of did happen. But there was a couple key plays made on the defensive side of the ball. In the third quarter, there was a point, this is just what comes to mind, where Arizona State was up 13-10, and then they got stopped and punted it back. And it was kind of like there was a feeling like, this is where Baylor's about to score and take control of this game. And Arizona State forced a punt. Now, there was a holding penalty in there as well, but there was some plays made by the defense. And you look at the stat line from that game, okay, 45.9% success rate. They allowed 5.76 yards per play. Those aren't necessarily good numbers, but keep in mind this is on the road at Baylor. Baylor's got one of the most explosive offenses in the country, so I think this was a successful defensive performance. But they don't have time to rest because now they're going to see Sonny Dykes in this TCU offense, which is quite the well-oiled machine. Honestly, I just want to say, though, when it comes to Arizona State's defense, before we get on to TCU's offense, looking at these numbers on this graphic, 102nd in success rate, 67th in PPA. In my opinion, the eye test would grade this defense much better than that. I know that on paper it doesn't look great, but even in the Mississippi State game, Mississippi State, they got out to an early lead, but then Arizona State's defense settled in, and they were in control of that game for most of it. And then Mississippi State didn't really score again until the last drive of the game where they had that crazy play, the game-winning play. So I thought Arizona State's defense looked pretty good on the road in front of the Cowbells in that one. Texas State is a strong offense. Arizona State, they were giving up yardage, but Texas State couldn't turn those drives into points. So I think this Arizona State defense is significantly better than this graphic shows, than the numbers show. That's all I'll say. That being said, like I was just saying earlier, I mean, TCU's offense is a well-oiled machine. 24th in success rate, 20th in PPA. Josh Hoover back this year. In his 2 FBS games, he's been essentially perfect. He's averaging over 331 passing yards per game. Hasn't been under a ton of pressure. When he has been under pressure, he's handled it well. Yeah, I mean, look, this dude hasn't struggled at all against North Carolina or SMU. Arizona State's also missing a few pieces here. Xavier Alford, the safety, is going to miss another game. Also going to be missing their nickel, Montana Warren. So 2 members of the Arizona State secondary will be out. Neither of those guys played in the Baylor game. So they are missing 2 pieces on the secondary. This is an Arizona State defense that doesn't really have a pass rush. So Josh Hoover should have time to throw, should have time to work. He also gets the ball out of his hands quickly, as you would come to expect in a Sonny Dykes offense. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. Why would you trust Arizona State's defense to make stops here? Here's the thing. Last week, we saw TCU play the game without their main running back, Kavorian Barnes. And I'm not saying this is the only reason, but it was noticeable because TCU was unable to run the ball against SMU. 3.89 yards per carry, success rate around 38% per rush. Kavorian Barnes has been ruled out of this game as well, so he's not going to be back. They're not getting their RB back for this game. If TCU does not pose a threat on the ground, this is an Arizona State defense that does not blitz. 14% blitz rate, 136th, dead last. This team does not blitz. TCU, if they don't pose a threat on the ground, and Arizona State's able to sit back and jump on those underneath routes, because you know what Sonny Dykes likes to do, the swing passes, the underneath throws, get it out of Josh Hoover's hands quickly. Arizona State does not blitz. If they're able to sit and limit the yak on these short underneath throws or these swing passes, I think they can get on them. And look, I think it's irresponsible to count on Arizona State's defense to just shut TCU down. But if they're able to limit the yak, this TCU offense lives on the yak is yards after catch. For those who don't know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I actually think Arizona State's defense can play well in this game. Again, I'm not expecting them to shut TCU's offense down. It's too good. But I think they can make some key stops, kind of like we saw in the Baylor game. And on the other side of the ball, look, TCU has been strong against the run. Oh, first, injuries. Arizona State's going to be without their slot receiver again, Jalen Moss. He's missed multiple weeks. TCU's missing a corner, Avery Helm. He's barely played this year. TCU will be getting their edge rusher back, though. His name is Zach Chapman. He was a freshman All-American last year. He'll be back. So an edge rushing piece back for the TCU defense in this game, which is huge. But the main question we need to answer on this side of the ball are these numbers right here. TCU's numbers against the run. Do we trust these? On the season, they're allowing less than 3.2 yards per carry, 39% success rate per rush. So you might be asking, Kyle, why wouldn't we trust them? Well, they played North Carolina, who can't run the ball at all. They can't do anything. It was their first game, too. They played a mess of an offense. Then they played SMU with a hobbled, limping Jennings, more of a passing offense anyway, or at least they were trying to be in that game. They haven't seen a rushing attack at all. This Arizona State rushing attack is dynamic, and they're getting a piece back. Raleek Brown, Kanye Udo, Kyson Brown, Sam Levitt. Kyson Brown's the one that he hasn't even been playing. That's one of their main running backs. He hasn't even been playing. In their first 4 games, they're averaging 5.46 yards per carry, 219.8 rushing yards per game, over 49% success rate per rush. This is a serious rushing attack and a serious step up from any rushing attack TCU has seen. If you're looking to poke holes in this Arizona State offense, you can point at the fact that, this has not been a very efficient passing attack. Sam Levitt's numbers throwing the ball, they don't look good at all. So is that going to come around? TCU has shown us they're vulnerable to the pass. At home, this could be a nice spot for Sam Levitt to break out and connect on some plays over top. We'll see. But as of right now, we haven't really seen much of an efficient passing attack from Arizona State. We've seen Sam Levitt make crazy plays with his legs, but we haven't seen the downfield throws. The passing attack hasn't been very efficient for Arizona State. Look, TCU is probably going to be the strongest defense that Arizona State has seen so far. Baylor's defense, no. Texas State's defense, no. This is probably going to be the strongest defense that Arizona State's seen so far this year. But at home, I still think they can run the ball in this game, and I still believe in Sam Levitt as a thrower a little bit. My pick for this game, we talked about it earlier in the week. I picked Arizona State at -2.5. It's at 3 now, so I'm not changing my pick. It'll still be Arizona State, but don't bet at 3. We might have missed the boat here. But it would be Arizona State at under a field goal. Houston, Oregon State. This one got down to 11, and it looks like they took some Houston money. It's up at 13.5 now. Limits are now up to 20K. We are in Corvallis Friday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time start. If this was the Oregon State of old, I would say take the Beavers money line here. The Corvallis Magic 10:30 p.m. start, but I don't know if this is the same Oregon State team. But also, I really don't know what I think of Houston either. Their offensive numbers are extremely misleading. You look at their offensive numbers on the year, they're averaging 32.7 points per game. So you're thinking, hey, this offense looks pretty good, right? No, it doesn't look good. They have a 34.2% success rate on the year against Colorado, Rice, and Stephen F. Austin. This offense has not looked good. I do not care that they're averaging 32.7 points per game. This offense has not looked good. The defense, I will co-sign. The defense looks strong, although I will say they haven't really been tested at all. They haven't seen any offenses at all. But the defense looks strong. The offense, look at the rushing numbers. 4.46 yards per carry, 202 rushing yards a game, sure. 32.6% success rate per rush. This has not been a consistent, efficient rushing attack at all. And now I will say Connor Wegman has been improving. He looks like he is starting to get a little more comfortable here in the offense. But, I mean, are they going to be able to protect this guy? Check this out. Connor Wegman's been pressured on 52.6% of his dropbacks. 52.6. He's the most, according to Pro Football Focus, he's the most pressured quarterback in college football. 52.6%. And if you're thinking, oh, well, Kyle, Oregon State doesn't have a pass rush. Dude, neither does Rice, neither does Stephen F. Austin. Like, neither do the teams that they saw. So I don't know if there's problems with the offensive line. I was looking at the average time to throw numbers on there, and it does seem like he's holding onto the ball for a while. So maybe he's partially to blame for the pressure rate, but he has looked better throwing the ball. I'm not going to just shit on Houston. He has looked a little better. Colorado was a strong game for them. So, look, I'm just saying the offensive numbers for Houston, you look at them, you're like, oh, they're scoring points. Not really. They played a good game against Colorado. This has been a struggle offensively for Houston. The problem is, so right off the bat, I'm like, dude, I'm not laying 13.5 points with Houston and Corvallis. Problem is, this Oregon State team, dude, it's so bad. They are so bad. I would only be Oregon State for me here. The Corvallis Magic. You don't lay 13.5 to the Beavs in Corvallis on Friday night. But is this even still the Oregon State team? Like, do they still care out there in Corvallis? Is this place normally be rocking? Is this place going to be rocking for this game? Give me Oregon State plus 13.5. I actually think I'm going to bet it because it's 10:30 p.m. and I'll have it on. It'll be fun to watch. But Oregon State looks really bad. So give me Oregon State doing some gambling here. I had said I'll bet it if it hits 14. It's at 13.5. Screw it. Give me Oregon State. Beefs up.
So update. After I recorded that, I actually ended up betting the money line. I did bet the money line. I don't know. This isn't the same Oregon State team of old, but historically, this is a very tough place to go on Thursday and Friday night. It's a place where big upsets happen. If you remember, number 1 USC took a loss here years ago, and it's Corvallis Magic, man. They pull upsets off here. I'm aware that this year's Oregon State team is not good. I know, but I'm giving Corvallis Magic one last ride. So I did bet Oregon State money line in this game.
Thanks for watching. Going to get to work on the Saturday video. Hopefully have that out Friday afternoon. Talk to you guys tomorrow.